You're sitting there right now in a world where the lights still turn on, the taps still cough up water, and the delivery guy still finds your door. But let me ask you something. When those systems fail hard and fast, do you really think that mountain of shiny tactical junk in your closet is going to save you? I've watched people in real disasters clutching $300 gimmick gadgets while they couldn't get clean water or stop a simple wound from turning deadly. Congratulations, they didn't buy gear, they bought a fantasy. Here's what they don't tell you. Most of what the survival market pushes is dead weight once the power grid dies and the supply chain flatlines. The rules for this channel are simple. Strip it down, get ruthless, and pack only what keeps you breathing, moving, and thinking. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 9 tools that keep showing up in real collapse after-action reports, refugee camps, war zones, and disaster zones, things that actually pulled people through when society face-planted. Not 30 items, not a basement full of cosplay gear. 9. While everyone else is burning money on glow-in-the-dark nonsense, you're going to build a lean kit designed for ugly reality, not Instagram. You can keep scrolling like the 99%, or you can spend the next minutes turning into the kind of person other people wish they had listened to. If you want to be in the small percentage that doesn't stand in line for handouts or wait for a rescue that isn't coming, hit subscribe, join the tribe, and drop a comment later with the one piece of gear you're ditching after this video. Now, let's talk about how badly they've lied to you about what actually matters. Item number 1. Water. Not a cute survival straw for Instagram, not a single bottle in the trunk. An actual system that lets you turn sketchy water into survival water day after day. 3 days without it and you're cooked, and that's if nothing else gets you first. Let me paint you a picture. The taps go dry, bottled water disappears in hours, and suddenly every puddle, river, and rooftop gutter becomes a negotiation between thirst and infection. The people with tactical sporks will die of diarrhea and dehydration. The people with real filtration live long enough to face the next problem. Here's what you actually need. A gravity-fed filter or pump filter that removes bacteria and protozoa, backup chemical treatment like chlorine dioxide drops, and at least one metal container you can boil in over open flame. Your water gear isn't one gadget, it's a system with redundancy. Tactically, your job before the collapse is to map every water source within walking distance. Creeks, ponds, fountains, even rooftop catch points. After collapse, you treat every source like it's contaminated, because it probably is. Crystal clear doesn't mean safe. It just means you can't see the things that ruin your week. While everyone else is fighting over the last cases of bottled water at the supermarket, you're quietly filling containers from a drainage ditch, filtering, boiling, and drinking like it's just another Tuesday in the apocalypse. It's not glamorous, but thirst doesn't care about aesthetics. Dark truth. Filters clog, chemicals run out, and fires get you noticed. Nothing in this list makes you invincible. It just stretches your odds. That's the game we're playing here. Odds, not guarantees. Item number 2. A real cutting tool. Not a folding toy with 30 attachments you'll never use, not a movie knife the size of your forearm. One reliable, medium-sized blade you can actually work with every day. In collapse, your knife is your wrench, your saw, your scalpel, your can opener, and sometimes your last argument. Let's talk specs without getting religious about brands. You want a full-tang fixed blade, around 4 to 6 inches, simple steel you can sharpen in the field, and a sheath that doesn't fall apart or fall off you. This isn't fashion. It's a handheld survival machine. Here's the scenario. Everyone else is babying their folding knife because the pivot is gritty and the lock is sketchy, while you're batoning through firewood, cutting cordage, shaping steaks, and processing food without thinking twice. The difference isn't just performance, it's how hard you're willing to push your gear. Your tactical application is simple. Your knife never leaves your body when you're awake, and it sleeps within arm's reach when you're not. You learn to sharpen it on whatever you have, cheap stone, ceramic mug, car window edge, so it never becomes dead weight. A dull knife is just a badly shaped piece of metal. Here's the dark truth. A blade doesn't just help you build things, it can be used to take things away. That means security and responsibility come bundled in the same sheath. You don't flash it, you don't brag about it, and you never rely on it as your only plan. Item number 3, fire. Not a survival lighter that looks like a spaceship, but multiple cheap, redundant ignition sources and the skill to turn ugly conditions into flame. Fire is heat, light, morale, sterilization, cooking, and signal, all in one pocket-sized miracle. If you've never tried to get a fire going with numb hands, wet wood, and wind that hates you, you're not ready. Hollywood skipped the part where people freeze to death because their lighter ran out 3 days ago and they thought one was enough. Spoiler, it isn't. Your kit should be boring. 3 or more disposable lighters vacuum sealed or taped, a ferro rod with a striker that actually throws sparks, and reliable tinder you control, cotton balls and petroleum jelly, dryer lint, or commercial fire tabs. Redundancy, not drama. Tactically, you learn to think in stages: spark, ember, tinder, kindling, fuel. You pre-stage firewood under shelter, you scavenge dry material before you need it, and you keep at least one ignition source on your body even when you're just stepping outside for a minute. That minute can turn into a night real fast. While the unprepared crowd gathers around diesel fumes and generators they can't refuel, you're cooking quietly on a small, efficient fire or stove with minimal smoke and minimal attention. Big flame shows off, small flame keeps you alive. Dark truth: fire is a beacon. In a hungry world, warmth and light are invitations. You need the discipline to sometimes choose cold and hungry over warm and dead. That's a trade-off no catalog warning label will ever print. Item number 4, shelter and insulation. Not a 4-room tent complex with a garage, not a color-coordinated camping palace, one rugged tarp, decent cordage, and a way to stay off the ground and out of the wind. In a collapsed world, exposure is one of your fastest killers. Your body is a furnace. Your shelter's job is to keep the heat you're already making. Think layers of defense: wind block, rain block, ground insulation, and body insulation. A good tarp, some stakes or improvised anchors, and a closed cell foam pad or pile of scavenged insulation beat a designer tent that screams, "Loot me." Here's what this looks like when it matters. While everyone else is crammed into leaky gymnasiums or queuing for cots, you found a tucked-away corner, roof overhang, tree line, alley nook, and built a micro-shelter that's dry, wind-resistant, and low visibility. Comfort is optional. Survival isn't. Tactically, you practice shelter setups before the storm. You know how to pitch high for ventilation, low for storms, and stealth for desperate times. You know how to use cars, walls, rocks, and debris as part of the structure instead of fighting them. Every piece of junk in a collapse zone is potential infrastructure. Dark truth: sometimes you'll have to choose between the safest place and the warmest place. Crowded shelters might be warmer but more dangerous. Isolated shelters might be colder but safer. There is no perfect answer, only smarter trade-offs. That's why gear is only half the equation. Judgment is the other half. Item number 5, medical capability. Not just a first aid kit, but a trauma kit tailored for real injuries plus basic meds for the things that actually take people out: infection, dehydration, pain, and chronic conditions. In collapse, the hospital is either gone, full, or not taking new customers. Let me be blunt. A tiny zipper pouch with cartoon bandages is a joke. You need the ability to stop bleeding, clean wounds, splint breaks, manage pain, and keep people from sliding downhill because a small problem went untreated for days. That's not paranoia. That's the new baseline when ambulances don't show. Technically, this means at minimum, pressure bandages, a tourniquet you know how to use, gloves, antiseptic, gauze, tape, some form of wound closure, oral rehydration salts, and over-the-counter meds for pain, fever, and stomach issues. Bonus points if you have what you specifically need for your own conditions. Tactically, your kit is useless if you have no training. You don't need to be a surgeon. You need to be calm, practiced, and realistic. Take a basic first aid or stop the bleed class while the world still offers them, because YouTube videos won't help if the power is gone and you're shaking over a bleeding friend. Here's the hard part. Medicine runs out. Supplies expire, get used up, or captured by people with more bodies to treat than you have bandages. So you stock deep on what you can safely use and rotate it. Better to waste a few expired bandages than wish you had one when you're staring at exposed flesh. Item number 6, light and power. Not a giant generator that screams, "Rob me." Not a drawer full of random flashlights with dead batteries. A modest, efficient lighting setup and a way to recharge your essentials. Darkness isn't just inconvenient, It's disorienting and dangerous. Your core here is simple: a reliable headlamp so your hands are free, a small backup flashlight, a stash of common batteries, and a small solar charger or battery bank that actually works. No RGB, no strobe party tricks, just white light when you need to see or move. Picture this. The city goes dark, and suddenly stairwells become vertical traps. Streets hide debris and broken glass, and every step is a gamble. You're not the one stumbling in the dark. You're the one moving with deliberate, quiet confidence because you can see where your foot lands next. That's power. Tactically, you protect your night vision. You use low modes, red filters, and beam discipline. You tape over bright logos and glowing rings that broadcast your location. Light is like fire, a tool and a liability. You want just enough to work, not enough to paint a target on your back. Your small solar panel doesn't run a fridge, but it keeps radios, lights, and small devices alive. That's not luxury. That's information, communication, and navigation. That tiny trickle of electrons separates people stuck in rumors from people operating on intel. Item number 7, communication and intel. When the grid collapses, the narrative collapses with it. You need a way to listen farther than your street and talk farther than your shouting voice. Otherwise, you're operating blind in a world that's actively trying to kill you. At minimum, you want a simple AM/FM radio for news and weather, and if legal where you are, a basic handheld radio for short-range communication with your people. No, it doesn't have to be encrypted, military-grade, or movie-cool. It just has to work when the towers don't. You also need analog backups, printed maps, paper copies of important phone numbers and addresses, a simple notebook for logging events, routes, and observations. Memory is a liar when you're stressed, tired, and hungry. Ink doesn't panic. Tactically, you become a collector of information, not a consumer of drama. You log what frequencies carry what, when broadcasts repeat, and where trouble seems to be. Over time, you build a picture of your area's new reality, while everyone else argues over rumors in dark hallways. Dark truth. Information cuts both ways. If you can hear them, they might someday hear you. You don't transmit unless the value outweighs the risk, and you assume anyone broadcasting in a collapse has an agenda, including authorities. Trust is earned, not assumed. Item number 8, tools for movement and repair. Not a full workshop on wheels, just a compact set that lets you bypass obstacles, secure entries, and keep your gear and shelter from disintegrating. Civilization is held together with screws, bolts, tape, and stubbornness. You're going to need all 4. Think in terms of leverage and fastening. A small pry bar or sturdy wrecking tool opens stuck doors and lifts debris. A solid multi-tool covers cutting, gripping, and turning. Tape, cordage, and zip ties hold your improvised world together. Nobody writes movies about the guy with zip ties, but everyone borrows them. Scenario time. Stairwell door chained, window jammed, gate locked. Most people see barrier and turn around. You see problem and start counting hinge screws, weak points, and alternate routes. Tools change your options. Options change your odds. That's why this is on the list. Tactically, your tools ride where you can grab them, not buried under 3 layers of comfort items. Every ounce you carry has to justify its existence. A tool that solves 3 problems is worth more than a specialized one-trick pony. That's why tape and cordage consistently beat hyper-specific gadgets. Dark truth. The more capable you are at moving through structures, the more temptation there is to go looking for things you shouldn't. You need your moral compass locked in before the lights go out, or you'll justify anything in the dark. Gear doesn't make you a hero or a villain, your choices do. Item number 9, the brain and the binder. Knowledge and planning captured on paper. The market can't sell you this easily, so they don't talk about it, but it might be the most powerful tool on this list. Skills plus written, organized reference beats any single gadget. Here's what I mean. Your future self might be tired, scared, injured, or not even you at all. It might be someone you love trying to follow your plan. A binder or notebook with checklists, procedures, maps, recipes for improvised solutions, and key phone numbers turns chaos into something you can push back against. Technically, this isn't complicated. Print or write step-by-step instructions for water treatment, basic first aid, fire setups, radio frequencies, neighborhood maps, supply caches, and evacuation routes. Add copies of IDs, deeds, medical info, and anything that matters if computers vanish. Paper doesn't care about EMPs, dead batteries, or lost passwords. Tactically, you treat this binder like a force multiplier. You walk new people through it so they can execute when you're not around. You refine it after drills, adjust routes when neighborhoods change, and keep it somewhere protected but accessible. This isn't a scrapbook, it's your off-grid operating system. Dark truth. Almost nobody will do this. They will watch videos, nod, maybe buy some gear, and then never sit down to write their own plan. Thinking feels like action until the power goes out. Writing forces decisions. That's why this is the tool that separates hobbyists from survivors. Now zoom out. 9 tools, right? Water system, cutting tool, fire kit, shelter and insulation, medical capability, light and power, comms and intel, movement and repair tools, brain and binder. Notice what's missing. No zombie swords, no gold-plated nonsense, no 15-pound tactical coffee grinder. Just boring, proven, lethal efficiency basics. Here's your homework, and this is where most people tap out. First, audit your current gear. Pull every piece of survival equipment you own into one place and sort it into these 9 categories, plus a 10th pile labeled fantasy. Be ruthless. Feelings don't get a vote. Second, identify your gaps. Maybe you've got 5 knives and no water treatment, or 3 bags and 0 medical beyond pain pills. That's not preparedness, that's gear collecting. You fix the weakest link first because that's what will break under pressure. Third, put your environment under a microscope. City, suburb, rural, each one changes how you use these 9 tools. Map your water, your choke points, your shelters, your likely threats. Don't prep for Hollywood. Prep for your actual neighborhood. Empires have fallen because leaders believe their own propaganda. Don't make that mistake in miniature. Here's your binary choice. You can close this video, laugh it off, and go back to scrolling, while the system that feeds you, warms you, and protects you gets a little shakier every year. Or you can pick one of these 9 tools tonight, just one, and move it from idea to reality before you sleep. Start with water if you're lost. If you've got that, hit medical. If those are squared away, build your binder and harden your shelter options. The 1% think about this stuff. The 0.1% actually act on it. You already know which side I'm on. Subscribe if you're part of the 0.1% who are done being lied to by the prep industry and ready to build something real. Drop a comment telling me which piece of fantasy gear you're ditching and which of the 9 you're upgrading first. Class dismissed. Your move.